Howdy doody friends, we're back again, this time compiling some tales centered around interesting mental gymnastics. My girlfriend thinks I want to sleep with my sister because I said she smelled good. This is just downright insane, I can't even believe it's happening. Me, 24 male, and my girlfriend, 23, have been dating for about 3.5 years. We have our own apartment together, and my sister, 19, moved in with us after her and her boyfriend broke up. It was a really bad relationship, so I don't mind helping her out. So for context, my sister has always been into beauty and all that. Ever since she was young, she has always collected fragrances and stuff. Well, a few nights ago, my sister walked into our home while I was cleaning, and she just smelled so good. I told her, I was like, wow, hey, you smell freaking amazing. What is that? And she started telling me all about this new perfume and lotion she bought and how she likes the layering combo. I was like, oh, how nice. And that was it. After my sister went into the spare bedroom, my girlfriend asked me if I was joking. I asked her what she meant, and she just started going off about how disgusting our relationship is and that we both need help. She started saying things like how my sister has to move out ASAP, and she finds it disgusting how I'm obviously attracted to her. Now, I thought she was joking, and she just laughed and said, "It's so obvious you want to sleep with her." I was so disgusted and felt so ashamed. I told her I was just complimenting her, and she said I needed to reevaluate my relationship with my sister. Since then, I've been sleeping on the couch and haven't interacted much with either of them. I've taken up more hours just to avoid going home. I feel so gross, like I wasn't trying to come off as a creep or anything. I just wanted to be nice. Aw, poor dude. He's actually taken his girlfriend's words to heart here and thinks that his sister is possibly thinking the same. But nah, mate, I think we can agree to this person here. It's not that you need to reevaluate your relationship with your sister, you need to reevaluate your relationship with your girlfriend. What's with such a dramatic response to you using one of your human senses? Clearly this comes from some level of insecurity herself. I imagine because she feels jealous she doesn't get those kind of compliments about her lack of bothering to put on any sort of fragrance, or is she just embarrassed by the fact that when she personally walks past a bakery, she's just uncomfortably aroused? Now look, if that is the case, I don't blame her. That bakery smell, man, it's ooh. But okay, let's try and be more therapy talk about this. Sounds like she wants to have your attention 100% focused on her, so your sister being there makes her feel jealous, because that means she doesn't get to have that 100%, which by the way is ridiculous. If I were you, I would ask her to seek therapy, because feeling that threatened by your sister for a simple compliment to the point of making it weird and intimate is not normal. She must have some real internal problems to behave and make comments like that. Like, I don't know about you, but lady, get away from the fanfics. Just like boys in their stepmom fantasies, they're kinda twisting your sense of reality. Now this one has some recent updates, but beginning in November, in r/legal advice, wife of program director demands the Christmas gifts I am being trusted with. Not sure if this is where I could get answers, I'm just really confused and scared. A background, I am looking for extra work to earn money for the holidays. I found a job on Facebook. It was to help with the presents for an event that would be held on Christmas. I responded and met with the program director, who recognized me as one of his old students from middle school. After a bit of catching up, he gave me the job and trusted me with taking care of the presents for the event. I didn't sign any paperwork and doing this for gas money, about $240, and Christmas dinner. Now, the director has introduced me to some other people helping with the program, where people donate gifts to give less fortunate kids or to the after-school program. Sadly, they have had issues with people trying to steal the gifts. The job originally was just to keep track of the gifts, but after talking with him about how someone could steal them, he let me take the gifts and keep them at my job. My boss gave me the okay to store the gifts in a closet that wasn't being used, and few had the key too. The reason for that is because of some expensive gifts were donated and my own paranoia of keeping them at my home. Unfortunately, my paranoia was completely justified, as when I got home today, I found a strange lady in my living room. She asked my name, and I only nodded before she told me to give back the gifts. I didn't know what she was talking about, and she told me she was the director's wife. Now, without thinking, I told her the director is gay. Well, she claimed to be his ex-wife and started to yell and curse at me. I called for my brother when she started to hit me. Once he came, she ran out the door but tossed a garden decoration through our window. Brother chased after her, but she got away. I texted the director about his wife and trying to calm down. My brother got some of her license plate number, but we don't know if we should wait to hear from the director or just report this to the cops now. Now, neither of us have ever met the woman before, but the director is somewhat well known, having been a teacher for a long time. I've got some bruises, a broken window, and very little money. I'm scared she will come back and try to break in to find the gifts that were never there. So yeah, starts out very strange. A lot more questions than any sort of resolution whatsoever, but thankfully, that is just the part 1. Just over a week later, we come to this question. Am I the a-hole for making a glitter bomb gift that was stolen? Quick recap of what we know from the first post. Where I work, I can get a lot of boxes and scored a good deal on some wrapping paper and ribbons. So I get some empty boxes from work and wrapped them up using pine cones to give them some weight. Only in the last one, I placed a red and silver glitter bomb inside. To be sure, and maybe use it as a prank later, I used the ribbons to mark the gift boxes and take pictures just in case I forget. There was a total of 9 placed under the tree. Not even a week after putting them out, do 3 gifts go missing. A bit worried, but mostly annoyed, the director and I brush it off, but tell the other employees and volunteers to keep their eyes open. The day after, one of the volunteers is yelling at the receptionist while covered in red and silver glitter. Apparently, the lady thought they had given her 2 kids, 8 female and 10 male, gifts, only to find out that it was just yard trash inside. The lady then opened the 3rd gift, and her whole house was covered in glitter. She demanded money for cleaning and emotional distress. Honestly, she was laughed out by the director who told her to leave. I learned this today from a volunteer who said the glitter bomb was an a-hole thing to do. Even when I pointed out the gift had been stolen, other volunteers agreed and said I was an a-hole, even though the director told me it was funny and was sorry he didn't get it first. The kids still come to the programs, but are picked up and dropped off by their dad, who is annoyed by the glitter he keeps finding. The kids also apologized for taking the gifts because their mother told them to. So, am I the a-hole for making a glitter bomb that got stolen? Now some quick edits the OP made. The glitter bomb was not meant to catch a thief. It was meant to be a prank on the director who loves glitter. Now, some of the volunteers have been working with the director for years, so he trusts them, and I would like to believe they are not thieves. Now, the years before, all gifts were stored in an unlocked supply closet. The director has changed it this year and trusts me with the more valuable items. The gifts were set up on a stage that is 4 feet off the ground. It was set up to look like a living room, and the 2 access doors to get up on the stage were locked. A kid jumping up on stage would have been noticed. Now, all employees and volunteers of the community center should have been told the gifts on stage were just for decoration. Only a few employees knew one box had glitter in it in case it needed to be moved. Also, the woman who stole the gifts is banned from the center now, but her kids and husband are allowed to attend. The kids have also apologized for taking the gifts, and like my ribbons and glitter, an officer that patrols the area had to escort the woman out, but told us that we couldn't press charges because there was no monetary loss on our end. Now, while the staff and director did get a good laugh about this event, most of the volunteers are not happy with me. One has already tried to tell me the wrong date of a meeting, not knowing the director can text me himself and vice versa. Oh, like seriously? Look at these mental gymnastics. The OP caught a thief, a snob, person who was ruining this event that they were running. And they hate the OP for doing this. And you want to know the stupid reason why? Just a clear case of projecting their own problems onto other people? Edit 2. Found out the volunteers' parents were mad at me because their children had been looking up how to make glitter bombs with concerning results. Like, yeah, that sounds like a nightmare, but, you know, be a proactive parent and ensure the kids are doing it in a way where they are able to easily clean it all up themselves, and if not, then you punish them for not cleaning up the space properly. You know, it just sounds like a normal day of being a parent.
Breaking news! Kids are curious!
Look, I'm not a parent personally, so I'm not the most valid opinion here, I'll admit. So yeah, not the a-hole. Not like you put a flamethrower inside and the house burned down. Now everyone knows she's a thief, and no true harm done. Opie says, oh, to be fair, it was a little over a pound of glitter. Which, okay, that is a jar of a pound of glitter. That's actually quite a lot. Oh god. I might be switching sides here. Now, quite a few comments were still accusing OP of nonetheless being really unprofessional about this, which is why OP has tried to stress that this was not meant to catch a thief or to punish anyone. It was purely meant to be a prank on the director. And I imagine once the prank had been done, she was going to help clean up herself. And any issues with it affecting kids and all, etc. Again, this was not meant to be something that kids should have been able to reach. It was up on a space and a stage. It was purely meant to be for decorations. They weren't meant to be taken in the first place. I mean, technically you can unscrew light bulbs. Doesn't mean people are free to just walk around and unscrew light bulbs in the random house. But anyway, just over in the last week, we come to petty revenge, because the story doesn't end there. Giving a quick summary of things that have occurred. So the update. First off, the program went off great. Everyone seemed to have had a good time, and I got more glitter to gift it to the director. He liked the golden flakes and made sure I was also covered in it. The gifts were given out without any problems that I knew of. The program got new toys and gaming systems for the kids to play with. I ended up teaching a Saturday class of how to make a glitter storm and origami filled with glitter. I'm not well liked by some of the parents because of it, I think. I get called Glitter Storm by some of the employees. I've also had Christmas dinner with the director and some other people who were very kind to me until I opened a glitter storm in their dining room. It was a good joke, and I did get a real gift that I loved. As for the lady, well, apparently she has a history of taking things and cannot find a job because of it. She has allegedly stolen and sold things from other people before. I had not seen her before at the center, but recognized her as the lady who had to come to my home and try to take the donated gifts I was keeping safe. So, she's facing a few charges for what she has done, and possibly a divorce, according to gossip. Her kids are still in the programs, but get dropped off by their grandma or dad. Yeah, let's really reflect on that, actually, because it wasn't made clear that the original glitter bomb victim was the same as the person who broke into their house in the first place. But yeah, this, as on theme, mental gymnastics of complaining about something that you stole from someone else. It kills me that people are stupid enough to think that holiday display gifts have real gifts inside. Years ago, I worked at a flower shop and we did Christmas trees and displays for several hotels in the area. Every time we sent wrapped boxes with the trees, we had to replace the boxes within a week because they'd get stolen. Eventually, most of the hotels stopped asking to send the gifts with the trees. And from my 7-year-old self, before I became aware of this truth, I would just like to say, you. How dare you trick my little child brain into thinking there are just free gifts around in public for me to take only to realize they're empty? Am I the a-hole for taking my son to see a speech therapist? Let me preface this. Oh, I bet you'd love to before absolutely digging on them by saying that I love and respect my 34 male wife who's 32. She is a great partner and mother to our son, 6 male, and I'm worried that this situation is going to make her leave me. When I was in my 20s, I studied in Australia for a year. I am from the US. While I was there, I met a fantastic woman who would later move back home with me and become my wife. My wife, let's call her Amy, has a fairly strong accent. It's not something that bothers me, but equally, it's not something I'm attracted to. She gets insecure about it sometimes because people comment on it a lot, but I always reassure her that I don't mind.
Mate, if you're about to insult my cultural heritage, that is currently, we've got a lot of native people to have this culture, but that's beside the point. Just know, mate, you're on thin ice. You're on ice that is as thick as what is available in Australian winter, and that ain't really thick.
Amy works part-time and she is at home with our son more than I am. I don't mind working full-time to support my family, but Amy definitely ends up spending more time with him. Unfortunately, because of this, our son has developed an accent that is a combination of a normal American accent and his mother's Australian accent. It's not that I have a problem with it, but I'm worried it will negatively affect him if it's the first thing people notice about him for the rest of his life. Oh no, he might sound statistically more likable to people in other countries. A couple of times I've corrected his pronunciation of basic words like tomato. Nah, mate, tomato. Because that's the sound you make when you eat them. Ah! Amy has taken offense to this before, though. Recently, I decided that the problem was getting out of hand, and I organized to see a speech therapist. Because I was worried about offending Amy, I didn't tell her about this. I told her we were spending time together doing father and son bonding activities, and she thought this was great. Well, a few weeks into our appointments, my son accidentally let it slip to his mom that we had been seeing a speech therapist. Amy was furious with me and told me she needs a few days away from me to think. I told her she was overreacting, but she was too upset to think straight, and I've been spending the last couple of nights at a friend's house. So spending hundreds of dollars just to tell your son to speak with a different accent is totally sane. But to be offended and upset that your partner has been lying about a trait of yours that they said they were attracted to, oh, that's... You're going too far, lady. Calm down. I honestly do think she's overreacting. God, maybe I should have told her that our son's accent was bothering me before I took him to a speech therapist, but I know she would have been upset and said no. All I want is for my son to be able to communicate clearly, and now I'm worried I could actually lose my family over this. Please, anyone in the world, please tell me a time where the inflection of a single vowel in a word has absolutely obliterated one's ability to understand you. So let's just go straight to calling this man out because I love to see it. Yita, why? Why did you study for a year in Australia if you dislike the accent so much? Why did you marry and reproduce with a woman from Australia who, shockingly, has a freaking Australian accent? Why do you think people are going to have a negative reaction if your child has a touch of an Australian accent? Are you from some part of America that is extremely homogeneous and an accent that is not local is so weird? Do you not have people from other cultures and religions there? I mean, if you do, you do, but I assure you, I don't think many people are going to go,
an Australian accent? She says tomato wrong.
I realize I just said all of that in Australian accent, but shush. Way to live in a bubble, dude. And shame on you for making your wife and son feel so damned awkward about something as benign as an accent on the same language you speak. I bet she thinks you say plenty of words weirdly, but hasn't tried to get you to say them her way. Like seriously, let's highlight that. What does that say about his feelings for her if he's spending thousands of dollars to stop their child from sounding like her? This one's nice and rage-inducing. Get ready, because this comes from r/adultery. Came home and significant other is gone. Oh no, you must think. His partner's left him. Longtime lurker and occasional commenter of this great sub, but using a throwaway because my paranoia is at an all-time high right now. I have great upsec, but also haven't seemed to need it because my wife works all the time and we do have a great intimate life, so I would be shocked if she even suspected I was doing what I was doing. That's why I'm losing my Schmidt right now. Just for clarity, OPSEC is basically the steps and procedures they go through to hide their affair. I come home from work yesterday and usually my wife gets home about 30 minutes after I do. When I realized it's getting late, I called and got no answer. I checked our room and her things are gone. She left the house completely untouched. Just took all her clothes, but left no note. I can't get in touch with her through her phone, email, her friends won't answer. She must know, right? Which is why she wouldn't if she asks me. I mean, who finds out and just leaves? Is it possible she just doesn't know and left for someone else? So people in the sub are reacting to this like, oh, I'm truly sorry for all involved in this. But I just have to say, she made a badass exit. That sounds like some Beyonce Schmidt. To which the OP says, ironically, okay, I could understand her leaving, but her leaving without a word is almost not human. Nothing badass about it. It's not who she is either. She's sweet, and that's why I love her. Her being cold like this is not going to make me want to respect her more. Oh, you cute, you sweet little stupid dumb idiot. You think she cares about what you think of her at this point? But then just 9 hours later, we come to this delicious comment update.
She's a freaking sociopath. She's known for months. She slept with me and smiled in my freaking face for months. Oh, be careful out there, guys.
Like, wow, sir. You were so fine with deceiving and going behind your allegedly sweet, caring loved one's back, but the moment she's doing it to you, hiding something, deceiving you, oh, well, then that makes her an absolute monster.
I know now she knows. She has known for months. She's been more deceitful about knowing than I have about doing it, and maybe that's why I'm so freaking angry. I can't even have interest in my affair partner now. God damn it!
Now, people were telling OP to just own it, accept it. This is the consequences of your actions. And he replies, thinking this is humble of him.
I am taking ownership, but I'm posting on a sub for adultery. It's not like I'm claiming it was okay for me to cheat. I just happen to think cheating isn't the only terrible thing you can do to someone.
What kind of asinine logic is that? It's okay because, what, it's not like you killed them? Yeah, I beat your face into the point of bleeding and stole all your money, but hey, at least I didn't kill you, and that makes me a fine, okay person. No law consequences for me. Obviously, with any stage of grief, there's eventually that moment where people spiral, and he does himself.
This is not what I want. How do I not go through this? I wouldn't have done it if I thought she'd find out. Sorry, I'm just desperate. I need to fix it because I need to know how she even found out.
To go down this chain of responses, okay, what did you think would happen if or when she found out? Were you disappointed that she didn't scream and cry and play the pick me game? She found out and decided it was a deal breaker on her end. You got off easy. No arguing, screaming, and crying, no therapy or MC to sit through and pay for. Probably took those months to stash some cash, find a place, or another guy. I don't think there is any fixing this. Opie confesses,
Or maybe a little reaction. I don't know why I felt that way, but yeah, I guess I wanted to see some kind of reaction. I know it doesn't make sense, but it's just how I feel. She makes the most out of the money, so that's another freaking kick in the nuts. I'll basically have to ask her for some kind of support to keep living the kind of lifestyle we've been living. I wish she would fight me. Seems like she's willing to let everything go, including her own money, just to avoid me, and it's making me feel like I don't know her.
oh, there is so much to unpack with that alone. She was literally the main provider for them, and he still thought it was okay and totally fair for him just to be cheating behind her back. Oh. This is impressive. But on the next day, he finally gets some more information by harassing his soon-to-be ex's mom.
I did have a great OPSEC. I found out what happened now from her mom. One of my wife's interns works a second job at the hotel where a fair partner and I met, 3 towns away. But my wife had pictures of us on her phone screen, so she recognized me. After that, I guess she called my wife, and the next we were there, and my wife stopped in to confirm, then left. What's getting to me is that this was in March. I never saw any changes in her. But upon reflection, I guess after writing this, my OPSEC wasn't great. I shouldn't have stayed at the same place more than once.
Hey, you also shouldn't have cheated. Hey, why think that simplistic, you know? Now moving over to an update. This is about a day and a half, 2 days after the original post.
I finally talked to my wife this afternoon. I've been in our house since Thursday night by myself, pretty much clueless as to what was going on, until her mother, who she has very little contact with, reached out to me. I was caught. I have been caught since March. Wife texted me today saying she had intended to contact me through a lawyer and just let the divorce do the talking, but since her mother decided to contact me, she would answer any questions I had if I had a desire to speak to her. Clearly I did. I asked her why she stayed around after she knew and how she just lied to me like that. She said it wasn't her intention, but she shut down to figure out what she needed to do regarding our relationship and herself. At the end, she said something like she realized she still loves me but doesn't respect me. And she said she thinks that I love her but don't respect her either, so we should go our separate ways. She already got her job to move to her to the city that she's been asking me to move to for a long time now, and said she'd like to sell me her half of the house if I want it, or if not, we can list it. But I guess our lawyers will handle that paperwork, and I still have no idea if I want our house without her in it. I'm glad I talked to her, but I'm sad at how moved on she is. She did cry a little, but then stopped. I asked her for therapy, and she said I should have asked for that when I realized I had impulse control issues. I've been drinking for 48 hours now, and sorry for the rant. I don't think it's losing her that's hurting, but losing like this.
Oh my god, that doesn't... Do you see how he admits? He doesn't give a schmidt about her. He just cares about being the winner here.
God, no wonder he cheated then. It had nothing to do with just not being compatible anymore. He just wanted to feel on top with someone else.
And now for a world champion, a-hole.
Did I cross a line at the pool? Okay, I think I might get crucified here, but I suggested this post to my girlfriend on the off chance people see my side of it. So I'm 24 male. I was a nationally ranked D1 swimmer who just missed having the talent and drive to compete professionally. Since I graduated 2 years ago, I have kept in close to college shape and competed across the southeast when I wasn't working. My job is really busy, but I am able to work from home several days a week. My apartment is only a block away from an LA Fitness, so I frequently go there at lunch to swim for 90 minutes or so. It might not be the best pool, but it's so convenient. Around several weeks ago, a mid-40s woman started arriving around the same time to swim. She was quite attractive and generally wore a small race suit. There was no attraction or interest on my part, as I was engaged to my girlfriend, who is a 22-year-old competitive diver. This woman was clearly not an expert swimmer, but had a really nice stroke and covered a lot of distance. After swimming next to her 3 or 4 times, there was a point where we got out of the water next to each other. I complimented her stroke and said she was very efficient. She just gave me a dirty look and walked away. I didn't think much of it and hit the locker room to go back to work. Then on Monday, she was swimming again, and the timing worked out that I was getting to the pool as she was leaving. I smiled and asked if she got some good sets in. She gave me a terrible look and said that she was here to swim, not to be hit on by men. I was shocked that anything I said could have been looked at as flirting and just stammered my apologies and walked away. way. Now, the bad part. Yesterday, I go to the pool and she is sitting on the floor. She obviously fell getting out of the water, and while it's not serious, you can tell she's in a lot of pain and there's some blood coming from her foot where she cut herself. She asked me to go get some help and I said, I'm here to swim, not hit on older women. Then I got in the water and did my laps. As I was swimming, someone came in to help her and the fire department ended up putting her on a stretcher and bringing her out. The manager stopped me on my way out and asked if I had seen what has happened and why I didn't help. I played dumb and said I must have been in the water and didn't see anything. When I told my male friends about it, most of them chuckled and said that she got the karma she deserved. My girlfriend was absolutely stunned and said I crossed an absolute line and had a more responsibility to help. I even asked my folks who are in the medical field and they were basically mortified that I didn't have the human decency to help someone in need. So my question is, am I the a-hole for not helping her after she had been rude twice? In my defense, if it had looked like a serious injury, I definitely would have been there for her. Jeez, I mean, it is commonly understood that women's only way of flirting is by physically injuring themselves and then asking for your help. That's like when you go to a nightclub. You know a girl's into you if while you're dancing, she shatters a glass bottle in her head because she wants to test if you can provide and help her. And just imagining like a really famous hot guy going into a nightclub and a bunch of women just start purposely tripping over themselves and breaking their arms in front of him. Like it's just, that'll be a nightmare.
Hey, you're beautiful.
Hey. Oh my god! Oh, what are you doing? Oh!
Yeah, you like that?
Now, despite him clearly, if he has any brain cells, purposefully using this as an opportunity to inflate his own ego than to actually, be a decent human being, some people still think that there is a case here where it's not a full flat-on yatar entirely. So yeah, the moment he was clearly just trying to win this argument that was never an argument in the first place, that's when he became a yatar. But she was the a-hole first. I'm sure from a woman's perspective, the comments he gave her absolutely could come across as some sort of ulterior motive, like, hey, you have good strokes? But yeah, as a guy, I don't know. I feel like when would a guy say that what you do is very efficient? Has that ever sounded like some sort of sexual connotations? I mean, it sounds like from then that it wasn't really meant to come across as intimate or like kinky. I think it is fair to argue that she just made a blatant assumption of what he was trying to imply or say. And yeah, that is disrespectful on her part. I am absolutely certain it comes from a lot of experience dealing with these sort of creepy behavior. But regardless, she was reacting based on a complete assumption of who he was. It's a shame she kind of ended up being right about that assumption though. Like yeah, ultimately, a lot of women feel nervous and defensive around men in a gym setting because they are used to being hit on a lot in the middle of their workouts. It would be quite easy for a woman who is used to this phenomenon to take what you said to her as an attempt to flirt. Then add on to the injury that was clearly enough for this woman to be in a lot of pain as you visualized. Yeah, it makes sense that you have come across as ultimately the a-hole in this situation. Now, I will stand by the fact that it was wrong of her to assume you were trying to flirt, but I also don't entirely blame her for reacting so. Again, the wording you used was a bit weird. Any man growing up in our modern times should be aware of what issues women go through by now. I know it sounds tedious, but genuinely, whenever I'm in a situation where it's someone I don't fully know, and I do genuinely want to say I'm impressed about what they do or something great about them, I'll always just quickly say, firstly, I'm happily in a relationship. That said, blah, 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 blah. It's like 3 seconds of lazy explanation that goes miles into creating actual genuine good, safe friendships with these women who otherwise would think you're being a creep. Anyway, that will be the end of today's videos. Let me know what you think of these stories, especially that whole last bit of thing. Do you think that's a fair compromise men should at least try to make? And that way women don't always have to assume that every single guy who is just trying to be social and friendly has some creepy motives. Also, what do you think about drinking water? Are you against it? Why? Why not? Where do you live? Why aren't you drinking water? Why not? Huh? Why?
Why aren't you drinking water?